Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. Today we are going to be exploring the career of Christopher Cross,
Oh,
the
yeah.
uh, the man behind Sailing and a lot more. And we got some feedback from a listener who
Yeah.
said,
Oh, cool.
"Hey, I really want to go
Yeah.
beyond just the hits and really understand his musical journey."
It's fascinating.
So
Yep, absolutely.
let's get into it.
It is a very interesting path because I think his music is often associated with kind of that smooth, almost yacht rock sound
Right.
of the early 80s.
Sure.
But his beginnings were actually rooted in something quite different.
Yeah. So before the mellow vibes of Sailing, where did it all begin for him?
Well, he was born in San Antonio, Texas,
Okay.
and his father was a musician too. He even played professionally for a little while.
Wow.
So I think that early exposure definitely played a role.
Sure.
Cross started playing guitar at a really young age,
Okay.
and it wasn't long before he was jamming with bands.
Now, I read that one of his early bands, Flash, had the opportunity to open for some pretty legendary rock groups.
That's right. I mean, you're talking about Led Zeppelin, Jefferson Airplane, even Deep Purple.
Wow.
Just imagine, kind of start sharing a stage with those giants.
Yeah, I mean, opening for Led Zeppelin, that's got to be an incredible experience.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm wondering how that might have influenced his own musical direction. Did he try to channel that hard rock energy
It's a really good question.
into his own work?
And you might assume so, but while those experiences no doubt left their mark,
Yeah.
he actually started to move in a different direction. Even towards the end of his time with Flash, you can hear a shift towards a more introspective and softer style in his songwriting. He eventually left the band to really focus on developing his own voice.
Okay, so he was already exploring that softer sound even while playing with a rock band.
Right.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
What happened next for him?
Well, by the mid-70s, he was fronting a band in Austin playing covers,
Okay.
but also showcasing his original material.
Got it.
And it was during this period that he caught the attention of Warner Brothers Records.
And that's what led to that breakthrough debut album in 1979, right?
Exactly.
One that really put him on the map.
The self-titled album, it was a massive hit.
Yeah.
Songs like Ride Like the Wind and, of course, Sailing became instant classics.
Right.
They just perfectly captured that laid-back, mellow vibe of the late 70s and early 80s.
Yeah, it was everywhere. But it wasn't just about the popularity of those songs. I mean, that album achieved something truly remarkable in Grammy history.
You're talking about the 1981 Grammys, where Christopher Cross's debut album won in all four major categories: Album of the Year, Record of the Year, Song of the Year, and Best New Artist.
Wow.
To this day, he's the only artist to ever achieve that clean sweep.
It's almost hard to grasp that level of success and recognition. And he didn't stop there, right? He went on to collaborate with some pretty big names in the industry.
He did a really notable collaboration was with Burt Bacharach and Carol Bayer Sager.
Okay.
Together, they wrote Arthur's theme, Best That You Can Do.
Oh, another iconic song.
I know.
And if I'm remembering correctly, that one even earned him an Oscar.
You are absolutely right. It won the Academy Award for Best Original Song.
Wow.
Further solidifying his, talent and versatility as a songwriter.
Sure.
Showed that he could move beyond just, a single genre.
Right.
And still create something truly special.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge accomplishment.
That's
To have both a Grammy Award-winning album and an Oscar-winning song,
Yeah,
that's got to be pretty rare.
really rare.
So
Yeah,
it's pretty clear that he was on a roll at this point in his career.
for sure.
But as we know, the music industry can be fickle.
Oh, it can be tough.
And maintaining that level of success is no easy feat.
Yeah.
So in our next segment, we'll delve into the challenges and triumphs that Christopher Cross faced
Sounds
as his career progressed.
Yeah.
So stay tuned.
I mean, winning an Oscar is no small feat for any songwriter, and it just shows you that, he wasn't just a one-hit wonder or confined to a particular style, but, as often happens in the music industry, that initial wave of success can be difficult to maintain.
Yeah, you're right. It's not always easy to follow up a massive debut album. So what was the response like to his second album?
Well, his second album, Another Page, came out in 1983, and while it did achieve gold status, which is nothing to scoff at, it didn't reach the same commercial heights as his debut.
So it seems like expectations were incredibly high after that Grammy sweep. Did Another Page have any standout tracks or collaborations that might be of interest to our listener?
It did. It featured collaborations with some notable names like Art Garfunkel, Carla Bonoff, and even Carl Wilson from the Beach Boys.
Wow.
And Think of Laura from that album became quite popular, especially after it was featured prominently on the soap opera General Hospital.
Wow.
Oh, that's interesting how a placement in a popular TV show can really boost a song's visibility. It connects the music to a whole new audience.
It's true, and in the case of Think of Laura, it kind of added another layer of meaning to the song, intertwining it with the storyline of the show.
Right, so even though Another Page didn't replicate the massive success of his debut, it still had its moments and continued to connect him with listeners in new ways. So what direction did he take after that?
Well, in 1984, Cross faced a significant setback. He was involved in a serious racing accident that forced him to take a break from music to recover.
Oh, wow. It's hard to imagine how an event like that, both physically and emotionally, might impact an artist's creative process. Did he eventually return to making music?
He did. He came back in 1985 with the album Every Turn of the World. However, the musical landscape was changing, and this album didn't quite achieve the same level of popularity as his earlier work.
The music industry is constantly evolving. It must have been challenging to navigate those shifts in taste and trends, especially after a period of personal upheaval. So did he continue to release music in the years that followed?
He did his output in the late 80s, and Beyond might be a little less familiar to casual listeners, but it's worth exploring.
Okay.
His fourth studio album, Back of My Mind, came out in 1988. It included a duet with Francis Raffel called I Will Take You Forever, which I think your listener might find to be a real hidden gem.
I always love discovering those hidden gems, it sounds like. Despite facing some challenges and changing trends, he never stopped creating and experimenting with his music.
That's right. He continued to release albums throughout the 90s and into the 2000s, including Rendezvous Window and Walking in Avalon, just to name a few. It's a really diverse body of work that showcases his evolution as an artist.
It's fascinating to see how he continued to evolve and refine his sound over time. But I'm curious, did he ever venture into other genres or styles outside of his signature soft rock?
Actually, he did. He released two Christmas albums, a Christopher Cross Christmas in 2007 and Christmas Time Is Here in 2010.
Oh, wow.
You know, it's always interesting to hear how artists interpret holiday classics, and these albums provide a different lens through which to appreciate his musical talents.
It shows a different dimension to his artistry. Reimagining familiar Christmas songs can be quite challenging, but it also allows artists to showcase their unique style. Did he continue to explore new territory musically after those Christmas albums?
He did. In 2010, he released an album called Dr. Faith, which delves into a more introspective and philosophical soundscape.
Okay.
It features a blend of acoustic and electric instrumentation, and some critics have considered it to be one of his most personal and mature works to date.
So even though his music is often associated with a particular era, it sounds like he never stopped pushing creative boundaries and exploring new sonic landscapes.
Absolutely, and it raises the question, how does an artist like Christopher Cross, whose music is so closely tied to the sounds of the late 70s and early 80s, maintain relevance in a constantly evolving music industry? That's something we can delve into further.
Yeah, it really is a great question. It makes you think about, how the music industry has changed since Christopher Cross's early days. Back then, it was all about albums, radio play, MTV, and now we're in the age of streaming playlists, social media. It's a completely different landscape for artists to navigate.
Yeah, it is. And it makes you wonder, how does an artist like Cross, whose music is so tied to a specific era, stay relevant in a world that's constantly, craving the next new sound?
Right. I mean, he's not out there, chasing trends or trying to reinvent himself to fit into some kind of predetermined mold.
Right.
So how does he connect with audiences, especially those who might not have grown up listening to his music on the radio or seeing his videos on MTV?
Well, I think there are a few factors at play here. One is the timeless quality of his songwriting. Sailing Ride, like the Wind Arthur's theme. I mean, these songs have a way of transcending generations.
They really do.
The melodies, the arrangements, they tap into something universal, evoking emotions and memories that resonate regardless of when you first heard them.
You're right. There's a reason why those songs are still played on the radio and featured in movies and TV shows. They evoke a feeling, a mood that continues to connect with people.
Yeah.
I mean, take Sailing, for example. It wasn't just a hit song. It became kind of a soundtrack of a whole era.
And that's a testament to its power as a well-crafted song.
Yeah.
I mean, you hear that opening guitar riff and you're instantly transported to a specific time and place.
Totally.
There's a nostalgia factor for sure, but it goes beyond that.
Sure.
It's that feeling of escape, of longing, of finding peace amidst the chaos that continues to resonate with listeners.
I think streaming services have played a role too. It's easier than ever to discover music from different eras. Someone might be listening to a playlist and suddenly a Christopher Cross song comes on, introducing them to his music for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like stumbling upon a hidden treasure from the past.
That's the beauty of music discovery in the digital age.
Yeah.
Algorithms and curated playlists can expose listeners to artists they might never have encountered otherwise.
Yeah.
And it's not just about nostalgia. Young people today are drawn to the authenticity and the craftsmanship of music from earlier decades. They appreciate the artistry, the musicianship, the timeless qualities that transcend any particular trend or genre.
It seems like there's a renewed appreciation for artists who stayed true to their vision, who weren't afraid to be themselves, even if it meant not always being in the spotlight.
Exactly. And Christopher Cross is a prime example of that. He's continued to tour and release music on his own terms, connecting with dedicated fans who appreciate his artistry and the emotional depth of his music. It speaks to the enduring power of genuine expression and the way it can resonate across generations.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive into Christopher Cross's career, I think we've uncovered more than just a string of hits. We've explored the journey of an artist who, from his early days in Texas to his Grammy-winning success and beyond, has remained committed to his craft, unafraid to evolve, and ultimately true to himself.
Yeah, and for you, the listener, this journey offers a chance to go beyond those familiar hits and discover the depth and breadth of his music, explore his albums, listen to those deeper cuts, and perhaps you'll find new favorites or gain a deeper appreciation for the artistry that has resonated with so many over the years.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that music has the power to transport us, to evoke memories, and to connect us across time and generations. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll be back soon with another exploration of a fascinating subject, and until then, keep those ears open for new discoveries.